Okay, folks, get ready to begin here. Adequate notice of the January 25th, 2018 meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting written notice and agenda of this meeting on the bulletin board in the Municipal Building, 1000 Route 10, Township of Hanover, and by hand delivering or faxing such notice and agenda to the following newspapers: Morris County's Daily Record, the Star Ledger, Hanover Eagle, and by filing same with the Township Clerk. Have a roll call.
Committeeman Gallagher.
Here.
Committeeman Faramasca.
Here.
Committeeman Mahalko.
Here.
Committeeman Cahill.
Here.
And Mayor Francioli.
Here.
5 members in attendance, sir.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, would you all please rise and join me in our Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for prayer.
Almighty God, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all of the people of Hanover Township. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all. Please be seated. Gentlemen, at this time it's customary for us to open the meeting. Would you give me a motion to open?
Second.
Motion's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open. Anyone would like to address the Township Committee at this time may do so from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record.
Hello, Terry Baird, 180 Parsippany Road in the Whippany section of Hanover. I remember last meeting you spoke about that you were going to be meeting with the water company, and I was wondering if there was some sort of an update that you could give us.
We had 2 such meetings. One was with our Director of Emergency Management and with our members of our police department, Officer Schauder. And second meeting was with the George Coppola and with Deputy Mayor John Faramasca to discuss the communications aspect for the senior citizens. So the question becomes, what progress have we made? We identified a couple of types of media that the water company, we're recommending the water company be exploring. One's a reverse 911 system that's used through Everbridge. And in conjunction with that, they discussed procedures for segregating neighborhoods and contacting individuals in the neighborhoods. We haven't gotten the final results of that. I mean, it was one of these meetings that completed on the basis of we all go back home now, do our work, and then come back together and see what we are. But John, you want to add to that?
Sure. We met with the board of the water company specifically in terms of how are they going to communicate out notification to the senior citizens within Hanover Township who might not be as facile as others in using webs and using smartphones, et cetera, et cetera. There's a number of ideas that came up, which I think the senior group made it very clear to the Water Authority that we wanted to see them implement. And the next step on it will be, there'll be a letter drafted by the water company, brought to the board of the seniors so that they can distribute it to the members of the senior club. And then the individuals in the senior club could opt into notification so that the Water Authority can communicate directly with them, because they cannot just do that on their own. So I think it was a step in the right direction in terms of getting information out to the seniors who find it more difficult to access information of this nature. There was also talking about potentially using phone lines at the rec center, which the seniors are very comfortable in using, to call in to get information. They call it the senior scoop, and potentially the board will evaluate whether the senior scoop would be used as a means to distribute emergency information related to the water.
Yeah, I think that too much information is better than no information, which is what
And
we've basically been getting.
The next step, there will be a meeting in March to come to a solution as to, okay, what are we actually going to do? Okay. So I'm encouraged by the progress that they made in it.
Thank you very much for all your time and effort to this. Thank you.
There's an even larger value in what's going on with these discussions. And that is that the township has for some time been trying to collect data, information of our property owners, whether it's office buildings or condo complexes that have hundreds of different neighbors in them, right? And how do we reach all the people in the condo complexes? Water companies do send out water bills. But now we're looking into an aspect of this thing where we can share information. So one might say, well, so what's so tough about that? You know, they send you a disc, you give them a disc. There's some legal aspects of this that I think we have to explore with council, and they do as well, and see what we can do. But hopefully, in the end, we come up with a hybrid and a more effective way to immediately, real-time, get information to the community. That's what we're looking to do. Okay. Anyone else like to be heard at this time?
Hello, good evening. Anat Tucker, 10 Barbary Court, Whippany, New Jersey. First off, I want to thank you guys for everything you guys have done for our block. I am the HOA president, and I know we've had a lot of battles with our developer, and you guys have always been there for us. So first, I want to say thank you to you guys. At the same time, I know there's been quite a bit of noise on the block, as well as surrounding streets, about sidewalks going in on North Jefferson Road. So just wanted to kind of get a status update, or hey, what's going on? I know repaving has been held off, or till springtime or summer. So will sidewalks be installed then?
It's a timely question, and it came before us with an inquiry, a letter to our administrator, and Township Committee took it up again this evening with our engineering department as well. I can tell you at this time that we are going to explore avenues of access from Bayberry out to Parsippany Road. And when I say areas of access, one of the problems that we had, and by the way, we've been looking at this even last year, is that in going toward Parsippany Road, we'd have to acquire additional rights-of-ways or cross people's properties and for takings, if you will, to get out there. In some cases, that might be a very difficult and arduous proposition. Committeeman Mahalko offered some good thoughts as to other ways to reach Parsippany Road through some public accesses that are either power line accesses and other ways to get out there toward that way.
But coming up, excuse me, Ron, but coming up to Nye,
right?
I think is your main concern, going south, correct?
So Nye to south,
Going
yeah.
towards town?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's coming up to Nye, or as far as Nye?
Yeah.
Okay, from that, so that's the
Yes, I know I think it's overall, I think the, people on the block as well as Windermere and Nye have kind of stopped by. I think the biggest concern is people have kids, people want to go on walks or runs, and you can't do it, right? Let's be realistic. You can't walk on South Jefferson. It's not the safest road to walk on or run on. So I think that's,
we appreciate we do fully appreciate the safety aspect. In the past, as you know, we've lowered speed limits and we're trying to do whatever we can. And we'll still have our public safety officer review it again anyway. But in the case of the suggested pathway that we're talking about, which would be a macadam path, we've instructed the engineering department to come up with a design configuration so we could take a look at it, how it would go, where it would go, and in conjunction, quite honestly, what kind of costs we're talking about for macadam. It certainly won't be on the same plane as a concrete sidewalk with curbing, et cetera, and all of the takings that we would have to do there. But your next question is, when's some of this going to take place? And so I think, Jerry, from the standpoint of you looking at it, I think we were talking about at least 30 days or so before we can get some sort of a feel for it.
I think to have a concept plan, yeah, I think I could have something before the board, the committee, within 30 days in terms of the routes.
Let's keep it moving, and stay in touch with us with you.
Sure.
The administrator has your contact information.
I could give it out then.
If you could give it to my secretary, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, do that.
Thank you.
Do that. We'll stay in touch, and certainly Michael will with neighbors.
We'll
as
talk
well.
over our fence.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
fine.
talk, yeah.
Yeah.
He's right behind me.
He could shout over the fence. There you go.
That's the only thing you
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for consideration.
All right. Thank you for your interest. All right. Very good.
Jerry, though,
Yes.
we're talking about North Jefferson. That is slated for one of the first roads to be done, to be repaved.
That's correct, yes.
That's
yes.
still on track for that.
Yeah. And I think maybe if there was a plan developed, I think maybe we can explore with the business administrator and and council in terms of whether that work can be coordinated with the same contractor. There are some public contract law limitations, but I think maybe it's something at least we can explore.
Yeah.
So that
That
would
makes sense.
reduce the amount
That'd
of
be perfect.
disturbance to the area and inconvenience to the traveling public, instead of having two separate projects. Just having
Bonus
one
for
machine,
pushing
one
us off.
shot.
Yeah, from an engineering standpoint, we really want to complete all of North Jefferson as soon as possible, and we want to establish the pathway going from Nye to Vets Field access. And ideally, doing that simultaneously would be wonderful. The additional phase, which we talked about in our work session earlier, potentially is a means through some path system to get out to Parsippany Road. But that would be step 2 of this discussion.
Very good. At this floor is still open. Anyone else would like to be heard at this time? Seeing none. Hearing
Motion to
none.
close.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. As we continue with the agenda, we have the approval of the Township Committee regular minutes of January 11th, 2018. May we have a motion for approval?
Motion.
A motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So approved. As we continue, we have one ordinance for consideration of public hearing and adoption, docketed as ordinance number 1-2018. It's an ordinance of the Township Committee amending and supplementing Chapter 59 of the Code of the Township entitled Board of Recreation Commissioners with the establishment of a new Article 2 providing for the appointment of alternate members to the Board of Recreation Commissioners in accordance with State Statute NJSA 40:12-1.1. We have the proof of publication that the ordinance and the notice of introduction appeared in full in the January 10th issue of the Daily Record. So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, may we have a motion from the Township Committee
moved.
to convene the public hearing? We have a motion by Mr. Gallagher. Second by Mr. Mahalko. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramaska. Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Is there anyone in chambers wishing to comment concerning ordinance number 1-2018? Seeing none, hearing none, may we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
So moved by Mr.
Second.
Francioli, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call to close the public hearing, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramaska.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Now, on adoption, be it resolved that an ordinance of the Township Committee amending and supplementing Section 5 of the Code of the Township of Hanover entitled Board of Recreation Commissioners with the establishment of a new Article 2 providing for the appointment of alternate members to the Board of Recreation Commissioners in accordance with NJSA 40:12-1.1 be passed on final reading, and that a notice of the final passage of the ordinance shall be published in the January 31st, 2018 issue of the Daily Record. So at this time, may we have a motion for adoption?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Gallagher.
Second.
Second by Mr. Mahalko. On roll call for adoption, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramaska. Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So adopted. And ladies and gentlemen, we have this evening one ordinance for introduction, and that is docketed as ordinance number 2-2018. It's an ordinance of the Township Committee amending and supplementing Section 125-4 entitled Recreation Department Fees under Chapter 125 of the Code of the Township entitled Fees with the inclusion of new resident and non-resident pool membership fees for the year 2018 for the Bee Meadow swimming pool season and other recreation department fees. So this ordinance will be docketed for consideration of public hearing and adoption at the Township Committee meeting on the 22nd of February at 8:30 p.m. here in the main meeting of the municipal building. And at that time, any citizen wishing to be heard concerning the ordinance will be given the opportunity to be heard. It is further directed that the ordinance and the notice of introduction appear in full in the Daily Record in accordance with law. So may we have a motion at this time for introduction?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Francioli, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call for introduction, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Fermaska.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So introduced. And ladies and gentlemen, we now move to the resolutions as a consent agenda, resolutions A through F. Are there any questions or comments from members of the governing body concerning any of the resolutions?
Move that they be approved.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Fermaska.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cahill. On roll call for approval of the consent resolution agenda. Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Fermaska.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Aye.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye. For the, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mayor. I was going
Okay.
to suggest that maybe Mr. Mahalko abstain.
That's the hesitation.
Okay, yeah.
I was going to comment to
So,
this extent.
why don't we do the vote again, just to be on the safe side? Mr. Gallagher.
Yeah.
Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Fermaska.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Abstain.
Abstains. Mr. Cahill. And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
That way we put it on the record.
Congratulations, Mr. Commissioner.
Congratulations. I think from the Township Committee's perspective, we really would like to extend our appreciation to Recreation Commissioner Peter Berkenkamp. Peter has relinquished his position as a commissioner to become an alternate. And he did that from some technical issues that we were having on this committee in order that our Director of Recreation, Mr. Mahalko, would be a commissioner. So, Peter, from all of us, we thank you very much for that noble consideration. Very good.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue with item number 9, raffle applications, Mars Catholic High School, 50/50 on premise, Mars Catholic High School at Tricky Tray, and the New Jersey Jazz Society, 50/50 on premise. May we have a motion to approve the
Move that be
raffles?
approved.
We have a motion by Mr. Fermaska, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Fermaska.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So approved, Mr. Chairman, members of the Township Committee. That clears the agenda of the Business Administrator, Township Clerk, and I thank you.
Oh, thank you. Very
Thank you,
good.
sir.
All right. Okay, gentlemen, at this point, let's take, we're going to once again open our meeting to the public, having gone through these ordinances and resolutions for any comments. So, motion to open.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the floor is open. If you'd like to comment or you'd like to address the Township Committee, please do so from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record. Seeing none, hearing none, motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, gentlemen, comment. I'm going to start on my very left here. Okay, Committeeman Gallagher.
I'll be pretty quick tonight. I spoke quite a bit at the last meeting, and I appreciate the extra time again because I wasn't able to be at the reorg. But we are at budget time in Hanover Township. We have a public meeting this coming Saturday, and what's nice is in the last couple of weeks, we've all gotten a chance to get together with our departments, a lot of members of our municipal family, and talk about our vision for the future. And we are in very good shape in Hanover Township. And we always discuss the difference between want and need. And our job is to balance the want and the need. And just try to keep everything in Hanover Township, and it's used quite a bit, but moving forward in a very good way to accommodate everybody, from our youngest kids that haven't even gone to school yet to our seniors, and all the great things that we're trying to do for everybody and with everybody. So I want to thank the entire municipal family for all their great work, all their hard work, and especially the department heads. They've been really putting together and having their list on what they can actually get away with, what we need and what we want. So thank you very much to everybody in Hanover Township. And I'm looking forward to Saturday, guys, because we have quite a bit of work to do, and it's all good. A lot of upside to this. Two more quick ones. Friday nights at Menon Arena. Tomorrow night's our fourth night. We've had between 240 and 275 children at every event, and add about 100 parents to that also. We've had a lot of buy-in from a lot of towns. Hanover Township PD is there every Friday night, as well as other police departments. Our big event coming up is going to be Law Enforcement Night, which is March 2nd. and we have confirmation from 11 police departments already. We've had great events, great local companies coming in, hopefully influencing our children in a very good direction, and introducing them to different activities and companies and sports and arts that they may not have been introduced to already. So thank you, Men in Arena. Thank you very much, Hanover Township PD. Thank you to the committee. And thank you to everybody for helping make this program a great success. The last one is, and this is a big one, Tuesday, February 13th, Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, Memorial Junior School. We're having a master class with Hanover Township PD, the Morris County Sheriff's Department, and the Morris County Prosecutor's Office. And we're going to feature vaping. A lot of parents talk about vaping, want to know what vaping is, and believe it or not, they ask me a lot about it. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not an educator, so I don't get education on what's actually going on. I'm not in law enforcement, so I don't get the memos on what's going on. So I'm handling this as a parent, and if we're going to stand together on the front line between drugs and alcohol and education, us parents have to stick together and learn also. So we have all the experts coming in to tell us what's out there, what the telltale signs are, what the equipment looks like, where are they getting it, what are the options for these different devices. And even Mr. Kelly, our principal at Whippany Park High School, is going to bring 30 different types of delivery vehicles to show the parents what this actually looks like and what this equipment looks like. And some of them actually look like computer components. So you'd really be surprised at what I've seen in the last week or two, and that's going to be available to all our parents, and we're opening it up to surrounding municipalities. So I just want to say once again, I'm honored to work with these experts, and we're going to keep going, and we're going to keep trying to do everything we could to get a strong front line to protect our kids as much as we can, and really using education and working with our schools and with our police as a team to help our children and all our family members. In addition to, I learned this week that when a family member has a crisis like this, we also have to support the family members that are dealing with this. So it's like an onion. It never stops, but we're working on it. And we're very optimistic about 2018. That's it, Ron. Thanks.
That's tremendous. No, that really is tremendous. As an aside, I want to also thank Committeeman Gallagher, who joined me this past Wednesday evening with the Morris County Freeholder Board. We were proud to be there in conjunction with our Junior Pee Wee League, who all received recognition and certificates, etc. They just had a wonderful time. So we thank the Freeholder Board for that, as well as receiving recognition for 3 of our hometown heroes who took place in the rescues of the terrible fire that we had over at Billy and Madeline's Red Room. So the Freeholders did a wonderful job of recognition for them. We thank you, and I thank you for joining me as well.
It was great, Ron. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, how are you doing?
Yeah, from a planning standpoint, the planning board reviewed and approved a new wellness center called 24-Hour Fitness. This will be at the Wegmans Shopping Center, and 24-Hour Fitness will be a premier facility, and the hours of operation for that wellness center will be from 5 a.m. to midnight.
Can you imagine working out at 3 in the morning? Who would do that? Go ahead.
Hanover Township is going to have a big energy fair coming up, and this will be held on February 24th, that Saturday at 9 a.m. to 1 o'clock. This energy fair will be in conjunction of the green teams within Hanover Township and Whippany Park High School. So it'll be a great event. You can learn all you want about smart and healthy homes, energy efficiency products, LED, solar, insulation, smart thermostats, indoor air quality. So 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock, Saturday morning, February 24th. College internship programs. This is a great opportunity for sophomore and above college students within Hanover Township to participate in a meaningful internship this summer, working in the municipality. And this is a fantastic chance for them to gain some experience in a field of interest, especially if they want to pursue a career in municipal services. Please consult the website for more information about this. Lastly, I want to give a shout out and a thanks to the Knights of Columbus Council Number 6904, Elizabeth Ann Seaton. They donated to Hanover Township a defibrillator unit which will soon be installed in Monroe Hall. So we thank them very much for their charity and their concern for the members of our township.
Very nice. Excellent. We really do. They've done so much, etc. Brian?
Thank you. Okay, so I'll start with Cedar Knolls Fire Department. I attended my first fire commissioners meeting on January 7th. Went through their normal course of business. We learned that they had recently learned that the state had approved their fire district budget. So what that means is the next step for them is on February 17th, which is a Saturday, between 2 p.m. and 9 p.m., is the fire district's annual election at the Cedar Knolls Firehouse. During the course of getting to know each other and the discussions we were having, we got talking about some safety issues and so on and so forth. And one of the things that I had mentioned is something that I talked about at the last meeting, and that's the deployment of the Rapid SOS application that Chief Roddy had put out a press release on a couple of weeks ago. So I described it and talked about it a little bit, and probably about 2 or 3 days later, I got an email from Mr. Schultz over at the Cedar Knolls Fire Department explaining that they had put that very same information up on the Cedar Knolls Fire Department website as well. So we're getting the word out. Hopefully it's a really neat application just for anybody that doesn't remember. It's an application you download on your cell phone, and it assists emergency 911 operators in identifying your precise location as opposed to an estimated location. So really neat application. Speaking of fire departments, the Whippany Fire Department also reached out, and I spoke with a gentleman by the name of Dale, who said they are planning their 4th annual 5K run, which is going to happen on Sunday, May 6th. Registration on site will begin at 7:30 a.m. at Bee Meadow Park off of Reynolds Ave, and the race time will begin at 8:30 a.m., followed by awards at 9:45 a.m. It's a 5K course, as I said. It's USA Track and Field certified, and basically we run on the streets of Hanover Township. You can find more information on that if you like from the whippanyfire.com/5K, which will give you more details on the race, as well as offer up some potential sponsor opportunities as well. So speaking of sponsors, their title sponsor this year, actually once again, it's not the first year, is Wegmans. So thank you very much, Wegmans, for being a terrific supporter of Hanover Township yet again. Moving on, Tuesday night I attended my first Hanover Township Landmark Commission meeting. Very, very detailed agenda, beginning with welcoming remarks from the chairman to me, as well as their newest member, Mr. George Capola. Then they went on to elect commission officers for 2018, and then we talked a little bit about the 2018 proposed budget in preparation, obviously, for Saturday's meeting. One of the highlights of the meeting was they showed us a magazine that just came out. This is called Preservation Magazine. It's part of the National Trust of Historic Preservation, an organization with 750,000 members. Essentially, there's an article in here that was written about the Hanover or the Whippany Burying Yard. It's a brief article. It's one page, but if you'll notice, if you can see, there's some pictures in there that were taken by our own local Landmark Commission member. I believe his name is Sal Manford. So anyway, the Landmark Commission is ordering a few hundred of these, and they'll be available probably out in the lobby and in the libraries and the schools and that sort of thing. The rest of the meeting was spent going over potential projects and initiatives. They certainly have a lot of those. They're going to be very, very busy this year, so I'll certainly have a lot to talk about in regard to them going through the rest of 2018. Last stop was last night, Hanover Sewage Authority meeting, where we discussed the status of a number of contracts for plant infrastructure and improvements, reviewed 15 or so development projects in various states of construction or in need of approvals, and then the next step for the Hanover Sewage Authority is their reorganization meeting, which will be held at 7 p.m. on February 7th. And that's my report.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Brian. Very good. Excellent. Michael, what's happening in recreation?
I love my assignment. I really
Why
do.
not?
There's a lot going on. Let me start off first by thanking the hundreds of people that came out for the parade for the Hanover Tiger Junior Pee Wee National Champions. There was literally hundreds of people among them, and when I forget, remind me. First, let me thank the Knights, again, doing their job, doing their excellent job of helping with the hot dogs. The committeemen were there. East Hanover, Mayor Panula was there, his council was there. Also, former Cody, right, thank you. Former Governor Cody was there. Lots of people. Again, congratulations to those boys and the girls, the cheerleaders. They did it. It was an excellent job. It was an excellent function. A little chilly, but everything went great, and I was glad to be a part of it. Rec-wise, it's sign-up time of year. So we've got lots going on, so check out the website. I'll hit a couple of the highlights. Girls lacrosse registration is going on now. Karate registration is going on now. Baking, all of this is for the spring, February into March, is going on now. Check out the website. Chronologically, we have the chili cook-off is on February 2nd. It's not too late to sign up for that. We're going to be judges, gentlemen, so don't make sure you pencil that in.
That is fun.
That's from 6:30 to 8:30 on February 2nd here at the community center. Put that down, and everyone is welcome. You don't have to cook. You can come. You can sample. You can cast your opinion. You can also cook too. Don't think you can't do that. Another function we're trying to tie in with the pool is Pizza Stingo. It's a bingo with the bumblebee from Bee Meadow Pool, Stingo, and that's going to be on Friday, February 16th, 7 to 9 o'clock. Also going to be at the rec center. You need to register for that, though. Let us know you're coming, and please come out for that one too. It's a fun event. Again, trying to get things fired up for the pool. Celebrating Chinese New Year. That's going to be on February 11th here in this room at 3:30. That's a Sunday. Again, come out for that. It's a free function. It's obviously celebrating the Chinese New Year. Also, and I had this year. I know this is in ACE's category, but it's a good thing. We talk about drugs. We talk about vaping. We talk about this, but it's also important to keep the children busy. Again, the skating on Friday nights is an excellent way to do it. It keeps the kids, gives them something to do. Don't just say don't. You got to give them something to do. And that's what we try to do. Again, there's so many things going on. I would spend all night listing them all. We got a lot of fun things coming up. I had a good meeting with Denise from Rec, talking about our future plans, looking to see what we can do for a 5- and 10-year plan. Had a good conversation, although we haven't had a meeting yet, or I haven't been able to get to their meeting with the senior citizens. That's I had a meeting, a phone meeting with George Coppola this afternoon, and looking forward to working with them.
Yeah.
So again, we got a lot of stuff going on. Check out the websites. Communication, I think, is going to be the theme of this year, and that's one of the top priorities. Is how we can get word out to the public, and vice versa. I see that across the board. That seems to be everything we're talking about. Communication. Same thing goes with the rec. Just trying to keep people involved, keep them informed.
Thank you. That's excellent, Michael. Thank you very much. Very good. And communication is the key, and one of the top subjects tonight is Deputy Mayor's representing us to take our communications to a higher level. Let's put it that way. And we're going to be exploring that, and Deputy Mayor, along with Committeeman Cahill and some others, are going to be looking at how we can approach this, and that's really fine. Just a quick note from me, and it's here we are in January, but I'm about to tell you spring's around the corner. We met with the Stony Brook Farm and Garden Club this past week, and through recreation, Denise is doing a great job, I have to tell you. Just that's another task that she took on, along with Brian Ferran, as part of our park systems with the farm. And we are going to be putting out letters to our condominium associations, 5 of them in this town, with a significant amount of condo owners who may not have the availability of garden areas to plant or do something with, and so we're going to put together a meeting for them coming up shortly, introduce them to our project here, which is the Stony Brook Farm, and see how many of them want to participate. So we think that's going to be very successful. So look for that. If you're in a condo environment, you're going to get something in the mail very shortly. We hope you join us. On that note, if there's anything else from the Township Committee?
Ron, I have one more comment, if I can.
Yeah.
We thank each other quite a bit, and we also quite a bit thank Joe Giorgio, because Joe does such a great job. But I also want to thank Silvio tonight, because in preparing for this budget, You wouldn't believe the work this guy does. And the phone calls he gets from us. And what was that number again, Sil? Hold on a second, Ace, I'll get my book. But most of the numbers he knows by heart. So, Sil, I want to say you did a great job. You always do a great job. Thank you for all your work. And we'll probably all be calling you all day tomorrow, too.
Well, we won't have to call you, because we know where you're going to be sitting. So that's fine.
That's what I want to, I just
Yeah.
want to acknowledge Sylvia. I did.
Second the motion on that one. Hearing nothing else from the Township Committee, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved and seconded?
Aye.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, gentlemen, we go back into conference session.
Back into the sauna.
Yeah, back in the...
Can we open up a window? You gotta be kidding me, it's freezing.
Go back in here.
You gotta be kidding me, it's freezing.
If you have one in your office.